Hey, everybody. It's Tuesday morning, September 5th. First day back to work, play, whatever you want to call it, after Labor Day. We're the Plant Based Morning Show. We do this 3 days a week right now, Tuesday through Thursday. Sponsored by Compliment, lovecompliment.com, where you can get all the plant-based supplements and lifestyle provisions you need. And they're healthy and they're good, and there's nothing extra added to them that's not needed. So it's the best supplements you can buy. We made it for our families, and it's the best thing for your family too, in my opinion. Okay, I'm gonna add Doug in here, the co-host of this show, on Instagram. You can always go to youtube.com/no-meat-athlete. If you are on Instagram, it's better there, as we've been saying for many months now, and I think most people are in agreement. Okay, adding Doug. There he is. Doug, how's it going? How was your long weekend? And how are you feeling on a short week beginning today?
Best part of a 3-day weekend is the 4-day week that follows.
I don't know if it's the best, but it's definitely a nice bonus afterwards that you forget. And sometimes it's before. I was realizing it's not always right if you're off on Friday.
Yeah, that's a good point.
That's a good point. Leading up to it. And I don't know what's better actually of those things. I think probably the consolation now of short week is better than the lead up weekend.
That was kind of my daughter was dreading going back to school today, even though it's just the beginning of school year. We're already kind of still transitioning into that flow. And that was our rally call all week. Was the best part of a 3-day weekend is the 4-day weeks.
Yeah, well, somehow our family talked about that as well. And then I saw Morning Brew today had a little reference to it. Something.
Oh, really?
Yeah, something about light following darkness or something. I don't know what it was. Like the return to work, and then is followed by something joyful, which is a short day. Yeah. So that seems to be on everyone's mind. All right, good. Did you do anything fun? It was way too hot here to really do anything outside, so we did a lot of indoor activities, which were quite nice. But no real outside stuff for me.
We had a great relaxing weekend. We did a lot of kind of family time. We went to the final pool. The pool closes. There are like local town run pool closes. Yesterday, I guess. So we went one last time yesterday, and I did a bunch of running and some cold plunging, some river dipping, and just a good weekend.
Nice. Very good. All right. Yeah. Hey, I see a bunch of people here on Instagram, and I've pinned the link to YouTube. It's better. YouTube.com/no-meat-athlete. Better sound, better comments, all kinds of. Just go over there. Anyway,
how much Zelda did you play this weekend?
I played a large amount of Zelda. I don't know how much, but each of the 3 days I put in a solid several sessions of multiple hours each. So it was it was a lot of Zelda. Thankfully, I'm nearing the end. I've hit the point where like it really wasn't fun when I had all these tasks to do in the game, and it became just like it was just pure addiction. It was like I have to keep doing this, but I don't really want to. I just have to do it to keep moving forward. And I'm past that now. I'm like over the hump where I'm close enough to the end that I feel like I can just chill out a little bit. I don't know. It's been a weird experience to play like an adventure game like that. I haven't done that in a long time, and I don't know if I will again. Actually, it's been really fun, but the addiction thing, maybe it's just me.
I was gonna ask, is this just the beginning of like a whole series of quests that you're gonna do?
I can't. It's too much. My mom and Aaron had a little intervention with me the other day when they were both here, saying you got to stop doing this, and they're right. I do. It's really. I think maybe my personality just doesn't. I can't just play it like a normal person where you play 1 or 2 hours a day, which that would be a lot, and just extend it over many months. I just have to just plow ahead. So thankfully, it's almost done. We got a puppy this weekend. Did you know that, Doug? Aaron put it in.
I saw that. I did see that.
Yes, a real one that we're not. That. It's not just a foster. It's a real keeping it puppy. Right.
Okay.
They were from the place that we do the foster stuff through. They got 5 Chihuahua mix puppies that they had them. I think the mother died, and they got the puppies. They're Chihuahua mixes, so they all are very small. I mean, the one we got is tiny. He's 4 pounds. He fits in 2 hands easily. And it doesn't seem like a dog. He seems like a toy thing when we play with him. It's just so small.
How big is he going to be?
It's unknown. I did a calculator. He's 8 weeks. So 8 weeks old right now. So they estimated 26 pounds based on that much weight at 8 weeks. I guess they plan on them about 3 timesing in weight from now. Okay. He had a brother who was 2.5 pounds, who we did not select, but almost selected. Yeah, they're just tiny little things. So I never imagined myself to be a Chihuahua owner. That's why we picked the biggest. We wanted it to be a little larger than a Chihuahua. But it'll be nice to have a small dog for the purposes of travel and things like that. It'll definitely be more convenient. So anyway, it's been really fun. It was a good weekend just playing with him. He's not allowed to go outside yet. Worked out nicely for me. He has to have all his shots and things before he can do that. So we just played on the rug in the lounge area loft. It was good.
Nothing better than a cuddle from a 4-pound pup and a game of Zelda, you know?
I mean, I did exactly that for some time. It was quite nice because he sleeps a lot too. He's active, but then he sleeps. Yeah, and I cooked a bunch of good food too. From Rancho Gordo Bean Club, I made a pozole using like from scratch dried hominy and dried beans. So I cooked those all ahead of time, and then made the pozole, which was very nice. Also made, corn nuts. They're called Mr. Corn when we had them in Spain. They're like the little fried snacks in the gas station that nobody gets. They're just corn.
Sure.
So I made some of those. I pulled some of the corn, the things aside, the dried hominy, and made those in deep fried oil. That was fun. Nice little project. So I made a few little things this weekend. And then we did a little Labor Day vegan meat stuff yesterday. Not much of it, but a little bit. And that was it. How about you? Any big grill out yesterday?
No, food was relatively boring all weekend. Just kind of same old.
You didn't do Labor Day?
No, we didn't.
You're always all about that.
No. I don't know. We didn't. We went to spend most of the day at the pool, and then went and got happy hour at a brewery, and came home and had pasta. that was the extent of it. Yeah. So I don't know. It was
seems like an odd thing. You're like Mr. Monday holiday grill out day.
I know. I love it. But for whatever reason, we didn't do it. I don't know.
Yeah. Not very patriotic.
Maybe. Maybe that's right. Let's see. We got a bunch of people over in the chat. Let's see. Steven is greetings from a sunny terrace in Old Town Harlem.
Very nice.
Awesome. And let's see. Leslie Knight in the car to NC to start a 4-day, 340-mile bike ride to DC. NC to DC. Cool. I would love to hear more about that.
Be safe. Stay safe out there. It's a long way.
In
a risky situation.
That's cool. I'd love to know what that's about.
Yeah. It sounds like the Blue Ridge Relay, but much longer and on a bike. Good. Also here, Jeff Hudnall, who must have run the Round the Crown 10K on Sunday 2 days ago. A neighbor of mine did that, and she said it was fine. So
I saw on Strava that he did, and it was super speedy. He's a speedster. Yeah.
Wow. Wonder if he beat my time of forget what it was. Not very fast. A couple years ago. Kelly K, Phyllis Hauser, welcome. Lady draws a lot. Can't forget her. Thanks everyone for showing up. Good to see y'all. And what else, Doug? Any other stuff? I thought I had something else to talk about, but I don't know what it was. Got back to working out on a pretty good schedule now. Eating food again. Putting weight back on after my big sickness. So that's been good. Kind of returning to normalcy. I feel like this is a normal weekend. And no travel this weekend. So it was just, I don't know. It was good. I feel like I'm back to smooth sailing.
I'm surprised there weren't big tournaments on Labor Day weekend, soccer tournaments. Really.
Everyone had off. It was weird. I guess that's typical. I don't know. But yeah, neither kid had official games. So it was good.
Sweet.
Yes. All right.
We have a big weather report today, thanks to your hard work.
And we may skip some items if it's too long and they're boring. I don't know. But it's hard to exclude anything when there was all this impactful stuff, which I guess we'll just start right off. My computer's not seeming to work with the sounds right now, so maybe they'll join us in a few minutes into the weather report, but probably not because I'll have to enter a whole password and all that to get that computer working. So we'll just do it without music. Here we go. This is the big headline. This is all over the news. I mean, this is big time vegan news. Expert analysis of the 500-year-old letters have found that Vlad the Impaler, who is the Romanian governor who inspired the fictional character Dracula, he may have followed a plant-based diet. They analyzed his blood, sweat, fingerprints, and saliva samples. And his tears, by the way, were actually blood. That was a real thing. So by analyzing his blood, they also analyzed his tears. So they did blood, sweat, and tears. He has something. I don't know. I read it called homo or hemo something, which I think that usually means blood. And makes him actually cry blood or some amount of blood comes through his tears.
Whoa! Wow. Ugh.
Yeah, I know. I've never heard of that before. Didn't know it was real. And I don't know if that's what made him become the Dracula character, because apparently that's like a thing of Dracula. He cries tears. I couldn't figure out why this guy inspired Dracula. He just was like a horrible person who killed people, and he was a leader who was very brutal. Apparently not to animals, though. He didn't eat meat because they didn't find what they call food protein in his blood or any of these things. Sorry. They found an absence of animal food proteins. Food proteins are only found in plant foods. The prototype vampire may. So I don't know what food proteins means, but I think that's the name of whatever they found in his blood. I don't know. Anyway, but based on this analysis, which I don't understand, they determined that the inspiration for Dracula was probably vegan. And if so, that would be. I don't know if there were like ancient Roman or Greek vegans. I would imagine those enlightened folks were some of them, or at least they were vegetarian. But I don't know about vegan. So this guy would be pretty early in the vegan history books, I think.
Yeah, I wonder what would inspire. What would inspire you to go vegan 500 years ago?
I wonder the same thing.
As a Roman governor, probably
Romanian,
lots of
Romanian
governor.
Yeah, probably still have plenty of money. Yeah, maybe some like health thing back then. I don't know. Like there were all kinds of different health cults and things. Yeah, and I think that was some of the early vegetarians and vegans were health motivated. So yeah, do not know, but
that's cool. Interesting.
Yeah, and that that really was all over. Like every news source has that story. I don't know what is the fascination with it because it doesn't really sound that interesting to me. But people care about that. Okay,
not Mr. Steven. Steven says that that's what he's here for. This is the type of content he's here for.
Yeah.
And Leslie Knight says that my Roomba is named Vlad the Infiler.
Well, I'm surprised about that because I'd never ever heard of this person, and I don't know. Have you heard of this person, Doug?
No, I have not.
I am.
But I don't really know much about the whole Dracula stuff. Maybe if you're a Dracula fan, then you do know.
That's possible because as I Wikipedia'd this guy to find out what made him inspire Dracula, I saw that there were like 20 like culture references in movies and games and things that were like about the guy himself, and as he relates to Dracula. So I don't know. I have no idea. I didn't dig closely. A little too nerdy, that terrain for me to go down. I stay very clear of nerd things if I can.
Yeah. You just stick to the Zelda.
You're right. That is super nerdy, and usually I'm opposed to that, especially that kind of stuff where it's like, it's I don't know, role playing ancient, these wizards and whatever. Like that's not my thing.
Isn't that what Zelda is?
Yeah, I mean it kind of is that.
Okay.
He's just a guy in the woods and sword and. Yeah. Okay, I got the music. I managed to put the password in while you were talking. So here's the next one. More relevant to modern day. The Good Food Institute last week unveiled some insights around plant-based proteins. I say relevant to modern day. It's really not that relevant because this is research all about 2022, and the times have changed. Because here's what they found out: 2022 was a strong year. Just a bunch of sales. Good.
We knew that.
Anything that tastes like animal-based meat is in. This is the most interesting part of the research to me. They're looking at food service industry. The foods that mimic texture and taste of animal-based meat, meaning I think not tofu and not tempeh and not beans. Yeah. That accounted for 53% of the per pound or the pound sales in 2022 of plant-based proteins.
Wow.
I think I think it could be of plant-based foods. I'm not actually totally sure. They didn't make that clear, and I didn't look at the actual study or survey or whatever. So they're saying that that stuff is taking a bigger and bigger proportion because in 2019 it was 39%. So that's a big jump in just 3 years. So that, and I think that's we would have guessed that's what people are starting to think veganism or plant-based diet is. It's these fake foods rather than vegetables. So anyway, that stuff is in or was in 2022, taking a bigger part of the vegan plant-based plate. And finally, plant-based protein buyers come again and again. They said 30 more trips to food service locations per year if you're a plant-based meat buyer. and you spend $400 more than the average buyer during
Hold
the
on,
course
break
of that
break that down for me. I'm not fun.
That if you are someone who buys plant-based meat at all,
Uh-huh.
I mean, I don't know if it's at all or above a certain threshold, but if you do that, then you tend to be a high-value buyer. 30 more trips to food service locations per year, which I guess means restaurants, stadium, kiosks, wherever else you get food.
Okay.
And they spend approximately $400 more than the average buyer over the course of the year.
So it's not necessarily saying that plant-based meat is the reason you're coming 30 more times per year. It's just that
No.
if you're the type of person who eats plant-based meat, then you're the type of person who goes out to dinner.
Who goes out and eats more? Yeah. Yeah.
Interesting.
Right. And it says they spend more, but I mean, $400 more over the course of 30 extra visits is only $12 per trip. So it doesn't sound like they're just like getting really expensive stuff. It's just you just go out frequently. So plant-based or people who go out frequently tend to eat a lot of plant-based meat, or the opposite.
Yeah,
So,
interesting. Do you think that's true? What would be the cause of that? Would that be someone who's just kind of a little bit more of a foodie is willing to try plant-based meat?
yeah, I was thinking about that. And then I was thinking plant-based meat tends to be a little bit on the expensive side. So if you're someone who buys an expensive thing, you also might just go out more. I don't know, but like if you're out, yeah, I guess at a $12 per meal kind of place, the plant-based meat option is probably going to be pretty expensive compared to other things. So yeah, I don't know. Probably there's a correlation. I doubt there's any real causal thing going on there. All right, but anyway, so all that's from 2022. I don't know if it's still true. I would imagine that. Well, actually, I don't know. Maybe the plant-based protein thing is shifting. Sorry, the percentage of the plate. Like maybe now that there's this backlash against them, and everyone's saying ultra-processed food. Maybe there's people starting to say, I'm gonna just get the tofu or just get the beans, and maybe that stuff will go down and become less of the plant-based plate, and that would be good. I hope that happens. We've been talking about that a lot. That seems to be, the future of veganism. I hope. I mean, if it's going to last and not continue to be this thing people, just on all the time in the media.
Yeah.
I don't know. Then hopefully it'll get back to vegetables, which I'm going to skip down to a later.
Hold on. Before we move on for that, speaking of ultra processed foods, I was having a conversation with two guys the other night, and one of them is vegan or mostly vegan. The other one is, the health conscious guy, not vegan, but both of them are, tend to be up to date on stuff. Neither of them had heard the term ultra processed food.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's surprising to me because I think it's everywhere now.
But is it everywhere because of the circles we run in? Or is it actually everywhere?
Well, I mean, certainly because of the circles, but it's in all the mainstream news articles. Like they're all starting to say that. Sorry, the food thing. So things that are about diet and food, it must just not have reached mainstream people yet. But I'm sure it will. It's everywhere. And it's not just applied to plant-based foods. It's like both sides use it against the others, it appears, or the other, and calls the other food. Like plant-based people call the standard American diet ultra-processed food. People who eat paleo or keto, whatever, they call the plant-based diet ultra-processed food because of the fake meats. So it's just catching on. But I'm surprised your friends haven't heard of it. But
yeah,
I think
I don't know. I found that interesting.
It is. It certainly is. Okay, so this is just related to the thing about people maybe wanting veggies again. Compared to fake meats. Dr. Praeger's was on QVC. I think this was last night. I pulled this article today. I don't know when they wrote it, but very recently. They were on QVC Shopping Channel unveiling their latest veggie burger lines. I didn't know that's where the big veggie burger releases happen, but maybe they do. Yeah. I don't think I have QVC anymore. Do you have it? Do you have that on TV? Like, do you remember?
You're not a regular QVCer?
No. I don't stay up late and order QVC products or anything like that. Never have I once.
I got QVC playing in the background anytime. Anytime. No, I'm just kidding.
As a kid, we used to have that on all the time. It was in the background.
Yeah. I don't. No.
Have you ever ordered a QVC item?
No. I don't think I've ever watched more than 30 seconds of QVC.
My mother-in-law, Aaron's mom, I don't know if she still is. She used to be a big QVC person, and she'd always get 2 of everything because I guess it was cheaper to get 2 somehow. So she had 2 of all these appliances and things, and just gives them out.
Wait, she'd get 2 of them? She'd order?
Yeah,
2?
Somehow 2 would be the better deal, I think, or maybe they would just upsell you once you call in to make the order. I don't really know. I'm surprised QVC still exists with the internet.
I think it's still huge. I think it's still
I do too. I do too. It's just odd that the internet didn't kill it. So I don't know. Anyway, Dr. Praeger was on there. Dr. Praeger's was founded by two cardiac surgeons, Dr. Peter Praeger and Dr. Eric Somberg, and they're kind of the brunt of jokes. Like when we talk about like the old school veggie burgers, we talk about the Dr.
Yeah.
Praeger's ones, which
Oh,
were
yeah.
never really very appealing compared to like even back in the day, a Boca burger, which was just soy protein. The Dr. Praeger burger would taste like too healthy. It just wasn't interesting.
You didn't see carrots in there.
Yeah. And so now they've got the 4-ounce, the new ones, 4-ounce veggie crunch burgers, which I don't know if that means the veggies inside it are crunchy or if it's like deep fried so it gets crispy. I think it's the former, that the vegetables themselves are crunchy. They've got Southwest sweet potato with black bean, chipotle, and spinach, and cauliflower with broccoli, zucchini, and peas. So those are two different flavors there. Southwest sweet potato and cauliflower. This says these burgers further the brand's offerings of plant-based burgers that focus on vegetables as opposed to ingredients that mimic meat. So they do actually have protein burgers, which are like, more like the Beyond type stuff. But most of their things are these other line. And I don't know. I wonder if they're going to lead the charge, the comeback, and just because they've not really stopped doing this, and now they're at least someone's calling it out that like this is intentional now to make these products that have vegetables and aren't fake meat, basically.
I'm pulling up the Dr. Praeger's website here, trying to figure out what all they got.
Okay. Well, here's some of the other products they have: black bean quinoa, super greens, mushroom risotto, veggie burgers. These are all 3 burgers, I think. And they say we expect to see an increase in plant-based food consumption and an increase in plant-based product variety over the next year to meet consumer demand. So they must be looking at different data than I am, because I thought everybody was going the other way.
Man, they got a ton of stuff in here.
Yeah.
So the like black bean quinoa and the California burger. I mean, those are the ones you've seen for years. The super green burger I've never had for whatever reason. That just it looks unappealing to me.
Yeah,
and in every way, they do have this perfect burger that looks more like a Beyond Burger.
Mm-hmm.
But hey, check out this. Check out their seafood.
Oh, yeah,
fish sticks, fish fillets, little mini fishies.
Yep, but that must be just processed like protein stuff, right? That's not their healthy normal stuff. That's okay. Yeah, I guess that maybe keeps them afloat while they do their actual mission with just the other stuff. Good. I'm gonna check out some Dr. Praeger's next time I'm in the store. I usually just ignore those. I mean, for the past few years, ignore that and you look at the ultimate buffalo chicken patty thing that whoever's making, or corn dogs, whatever. By the way, Doug, I took your suggestion of buying frozen vegetables. My pozole recipe called for green beans, which you would then cut into halves or thirds or whatever. Yeah. And it was like, the prepped green beans, if you get the non-prepped ones, they're not that expensive. But if you get the prepped ones where they're already cut, you don't have to pull the little stems off and all that. And then you get the brown ones and all those. They're expensive. It was like $5 or $6 for, 4-6 ounces bag. So I went to the frozen part, and for like $2 got, a pound and a half of them or something, maybe 2 pounds. Just a huge bag. And worked fine in a soup. Now, if I was having green beans on the side of a dish, I might want the fresh, but it was perfect for that. So I'm going to keep doing that for now on.
Great.
Yeah. I'm all about the
shout out to the frozen vegetable trend. That's the year of frozen vegetables.
They're cheaper, they're healthier, and they're already prepped. So I think they are healthier. I think they are, because they're frozen at the peak of freshness right after being picked, and they can be left on the vine until, nature's done its thing. They don't need to be picked early so that they ripen on the truck. You get more nutrition, I think, out of the frozen than the fresh. So cheaper, more nutritious, and already prepped. The only thing they're missing is tastier, but that might even be a close call, because they probably start to taste better as they ripen on the vine. The year of the frozen veggie, maybe. Surprise, a dark horse. Who would have thought that would be the true winner?
The early 90s trend happens to be making a comeback in 2023.
Yeah, right. All right, let's continue with this lengthy weather report. I might skip a couple. Yeah, I'm going to skip one boring one. And on to the next. Speaking of year of certain foods, we know 7-Eleven's been doing their part to promote this plant-based thing. They keep bringing in plant-based products. Now, at least in Florida, they've got 732 stores, and there are also 109 Wegmans along the East Coast. Those groups of stores have brought in the Odyssey Mushroom Elixir, which Veg News, not surprisingly, is calling a vegan functional mushroom beverage and put a headline about this vegan mushroom. There's nothing about vegan in the product or anything. It happens to be vegan. But so do a lot of juices or sodas or whatever you call this thing.
Probably all mushroom elixirs happen to be vegan. But.
Right. So it's not really, it's not like a vegan product. I mean, it is vegan, but it's not meant to, well, you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
But it's mushroom. So I had to include it here because we still think there might be some hope that it's actually the year of the mushroom product. And I don't know. This seems like an odd choice for 7-Eleven. I wouldn't think that the typical 7-Eleven customer is going to care about this, but maybe it's like, maybe someone would see this and then see the 5 or go in there for Red Bull or 5 Hour Energy or whatever. And they see this instead. And they think, I'd rather get that. And maybe a little better.
Maybe.
I don't know.
I like it.
I'm not going to get it.
I'd get one. I would.
I'll never get one. It's
just, you'll never get any mushroom elixir.
I'm not going to get any elixir. I mean, I just don't buy those things. I'd get a water. If it was a special day, I'd get a Coke or something. But I'm not getting an elixir.
If you're going to a gas station and picking up water, are you just getting a bottle of water, like plain water, or are you getting like a vitamin water or smart water or something?
No, I get regular water. Cheapest possible regular water. As long as it's from a spring. I'm not going to get filtered water. Like I think the Dasani, which Pepsi owns, maybe Coca-Cola owns, it's just filtered water. It's not even like it's like spring water.
Yeah, but like really doesn't matter. I mean, seriously.
I don't know how
you know that spring water is like quadruple filtered, and
filtered water could be from the toilet or something, or the sewer. I don't know where they got it from originally. At least I want a spring source.
Okay. All right.
I'm telling you, if you go water shopping,
that's good branding, right? That's like years of like Dasani's or whatever springs. What's the
no it has. I think Aquafina is the Pepsi version, and theirs I'm pretty sure is spring water, whereas Dasani is. Yeah, I'm actually not sure about that. I don't know. Anyway, if you go water shopping, it's just one little thing to look for. Look for spring versus filtered. You'll see there's a difference. They're not always more expensive. It's just slightly discriminating customer. I'm certainly not buying Liquid Death. Never have I tried that, and probably never will. What?
It's good.
That?
The sparkling version is good.
It just says water.
No, the sparkling version. I've never had the plain water before, but I would. You know, it's in a can. I can appreciate that more
because it looks cool. I think you like to look cool drinking the Liquid Death.
Well, yeah,
it fits your personal brand.
Definitely. But the sparkling stuff is actually, it's like a good sparkling water. I'm a sparkling water guy. I'm a LaCroix guy. I like sparkling waters.
Yeah, my rest of my family does that as well. I don't do that.
And the Liquid Death version is good. I've never had the plain water, but I would. Why not?
Okay, good. Yeah. All right. Moving on, a biotech brand has created vegan casein, which it says fully replicates the taste and texture of traditional dairy proteins. This brand used to be called Armored Fresh, and we talked about Armored Fresh before. I think when they were developing this product, they rebranded. Now they are Pureture, which is an odd name. I don't know how you're supposed to pronounce it. It's pure, and then it's Ture, all one word. Pureture. I don't know. Odd choice of a rebrand. Anyway, casein, though, to me, I think is like the missing piece of the puzzle because they've already got really good precision fermented whey, which is one of the proteins in milk. Casein's, I think, basically the other main protein in milk. I don't know where curds fit in here, but pretty sure this is most of what you need to make vegan cheese that is like the real thing. Now, it's going to be precision fermented. It's going to still be ultra processed. But I think that means the cheeses, which is kind of lagging behind a little bit because the cheeses still don't taste like the real thing the way the meats more or less do. I don't know. So big deal. Casein, though, of course, is in Forks Over Knives. That was the vilified amino acid that was the cause of all these cancers and things. And I do question a lot of the Forks Over Knives science. I think a lot of people have begun to question that. So I'm not saying that's the case, but it's just an interesting thing. It's one of these weird things where, like, I don't know, vegan people get all excited that this is now available, but 10 years ago they were angry at casein because we couldn't have it. It was the problem.
Yeah. I don't have much to say here.
No, there's not much to say.
I think if you could make a dairy-free, animal-free cheese that tasted and looked and it was everything that cheese was, in the same way that they have the, dairy-free whey or whatever, but or I think or lab-grown meat. I think that would be potentially really big, and good for the environment, good for animals, good for everyone, even if it wasn't all that any healthier.
Definitely. Right. Yeah, I think it would leap to the front of the line as far as these plant-based cheeses go. There's all the artisan cheeses and things like that, and I think those might have a place for a while. But yeah, this would definitely represent a huge improvement if it was like the real thing, and even if it was unhealthy. I mean, people are buying up the diet and all that stuff, and I'm sure that's unhealthy. So I don't think the health would stop people.
You could get an entire animal Big Mac with cheese and mayo on it and everything, and not have any animal be a part of it.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it would be very close to the real thing.
Yeah.
So we need the cheese to catch up. All right. Speaking of cheese, last bit of the weather report here. We have covered a lot of vegan cream cheeses that just find their way into the grocery stores, including Philadelphia cream cheese, which was the point of a lot of contention. Anyway, there's a new one called Nature's Fynd. It's Fynd. I think it's called Fynd because it's crafted with Phi trademark, which is a traditional fungi protein derived from Yellowstone National Park. Anyway, it's now available in Whole Foods across the country. So there's another vegan cream cheese option there, which I'll be eager to try. I always like trying the vegan cream cheeses, and I don't know, be good to find one that's good. I'm pretty happy with Kite Hill.
Do you think that it's like we're supposed to think more highly about this particular fungi because it came from Yellowstone National Park? It just seems kind of a
preserved,
weird thing.
untouched.
Like, are we harvesting?
I don't know. No, they probably just took it once and then probably smuggled it out of the park, and then they cultivated it. I'm sure the fungi spreads like like a fungus, so they had no problem getting more of it. Anyway, it's lactose-free, nut-free, soy-free, certified kosher. The reason I like Kite Hill is because it's just almonds. Like I think that's the only thing in there. Maybe there's a few other things, but that's the main ingredient, and that seems way better to me than even this. I don't need fungi something in my cheese. It seems weird, but maybe that helps with the taste.
You're really hating on all the mushroom stuff today.
I know I like mushrooms, but I don't know, the products seems to be a little much. All right. Anyway, there's your weather report. It was long as promised, and I even cut one thing out of it. So there you go. All right. So for our main stuff today, we got mostly just this one thing, and it's a story we've heard before, but it's back. We've talked over the past year that this show has existed a lot about labeling, and different countries, especially France, which is the latest to do it again. But I think, Texas was doing it and somebody else. And there's all kinds of talk about making it so that you can't call plant-based, or companies can't call their plant-based meat products with meaty names. Basically, they're citing consumer confusion, unfair competition. And I kind of get it. I do understand where they're coming from. Like, even though I don't like the meat companies, I understand that you can't just call your product something it's not. When the whole food movement was kind of booming in the, early, maybe 2010 era, all the vegans were kind of, understanding why the cheese food product, why that had to, I think in 1930, they first had a law that you can't call this cheese food. You can't call that cheese. It's not. It's processed food. It's fake stuff. It's not real cheese, even if there's some milk in there. And we, the whole food people, the vegans, the vegetarians, we said, yeah, that makes sense. We understand that. But now that the animal people are trying to say, well, you can't call your vegan stuff cheese, or you can't call your vegan meat steak. Now suddenly we think they're the enemy. So I understand why they're trying to protect their interests like this. But the studies are typically showing that consumers are not actually confused by those names. And once you have that, then I sort of think, well, maybe it's okay to call these things, as long as they're still clearly labeled that they're not the real thing. But anyway, that's where I stand on it. But France has brought back their decree. I don't know how the French government works, but apparently they issue decrees. And that sounds like very old-fashioned, like the king just says, hey, I decree this, and now everyone has to listen. Well, they still have decrees. This is a draft decree. It bans 21 meat names used to describe foodstuffs containing plant proteins. And some of the outlawed terms now are steak, ham, escalope, I don't know what that is, or spare ribs, and even butcher or meat maker. You can't say that. I understand why you can't say meat maker, but now like vegetarian butcher or whatever else, plant-based, I don't know what the butchers are, but you can't call yourself a butcher anymore in France. And a few names are still allowed, over 100, not a few, a lot. Cooked ham, poultry, sausage, bacon. You can say these as long as your product contains plant proteins only within the range of 0.5% to 6%. So
what does that mean?
That you could have a 95% bacon product and put in some filler plant-based ingredients, and you can keep calling it bacon.
But you can't have a vegan bacon, right?
No. This is just allowing the meat industry to sort of keep their costs lower or something, I think.
Yeah, that's that seems weird.
Yeah. It's very weird. So it's not really any concession to the plant-based meat companies.
But notably, the term burger is not included on the list, so that's good.
Yeah, and we talked a lot about which terms really are confusing, and some things like that where it's almost describes sort of the shape of something rather than the content or the the I don't know what the medium or the format. So yeah, it's kind of good. So I think that represents a little bit of progress. Anyway, this apparently they issued the decree before. They tried to pass the decree last year. It was backed by the country's meat industry and farming lobby, but the country's highest administrative, the French Conseil d'Etat, decided to suspend the decree a month later. So I don't know how this French government works. Maybe Stephen can tell us, since he's the closest that I know of over there. But anyway, it's who knows what's going to happen if this one's going to be struck down again or whatever by someone higher by that Council d'Etat.
I mean, probably it's like here in the United States, the government can pass a law, but the Supreme Court can overturn it because it's unconstitutional.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah. Do other countries have that? I thought we were the only like country progressive enough to do that. I thought everyone else was like kings, just like tell you what to do and stuff.
Yeah, the rest of the world is monarchs. You have full authority. Yeah. No, most. I would say I don't know if this is a requirement for any sort of democracy. Probably not, but I would say most of the most of the democratic world has a Supreme Court that oversees.
Okay, we've got several branches, checks and balances.
Yeah. Checks and balances.
Okay, good. All right. Well, so there. I mean, there's not really anything else to say. We've had the discussion many times. Where are you standing here, Doug? Are you? I was all the way on the meat producer side, and then I came to the other side once the customers weren't confused. It came out. Now I'm kind of back in the middle. I don't know where I stand on this. I
am firmly on the plant-based side. Surprise, surprise. As long as it's clear that it's plant-based or vegan and not just like spare ribs with like made from animal or made from plants at the really small and below it or something like that.
Gotta be prominent
because I think that if you're trying to make a vegan spare rib or a vegan steak, it's important to have or that's really good context for the consumer, right? To understand what they're buying, what it's going to taste like, where you should be using it, how you should be using it. And to me, like, I think it's more helpful for consumers than it is confusing for consumers. And therefore I think it's appropriate to have those types of words and language as long as it's very clear that it's made from plants.
Yeah, and actually, it does seem like the incentive of the plant-based meat company isn't to try to hide the fact that they're things from plants, right? Because if you sell someone steak and it's not steak, I mean, they're going to think, but they think they're buying steak, they're going to hate it, right? It's going to say, this is the word, I'm never buying this again. It's strange. As close as they are to the real thing, it's not the same. And you say this is a little bit of a strange burger or steak, whatever, and I don't necessarily prefer that. So I think usually they don't want to trick people, and they don't want to trick because you don't want to lose your vegan market. You want your vegans and vegetarians to buy it, so they should know clearly what it is. So I think because of that, like the incentive seems to be not to try to trick. Maybe these laws are a little unnecessary. And if you can't call it that, then you got to call it something even more confusing. And then I don't like that.
Yeah. So I'm against these rules.
Yeah, I think I'm convinced that's the right side to be on here. We will later see we were on the right side of history with this one, maybe, Doug. I hope.
Yeah, we maybe.
All right, so that's that one, and then all right, we weren't gonna do this. It's silly, but I found it. and I'm trying to pull it. Oh, it's an opinion piece from Yahoo Finance, ca.finance.yahoo.com.
Mm-hmm.
The reason I kept it and liked it is because it made me feel good about myself and my understanding of environmental issues, of which I am woefully ill-informed. I just don't keep up with it at all. And I've always said, well, I eat a vegan diet. I don't really need to think about it. I'm doing my part. I'm just going to leave it at that. Anyway, this is an article by a guy named Jason Reed. The title is Opinion. Veganism is as bad for the planet as meat eating. And I thought I'd read that and see what Doug thought about it. But I read it and I already knew what to say in response. So he just talks about how yes, animal agriculture is bad for the environment, but however, here's his problem. He says, besides lentils and beans, very few protein sources don't come from animals. One that doesn't is soy, which crops up in countless vegan products. And he cites some stats. Soybean production, though, is a disaster for the environment, putting aside its greenhouse gas emissions, which are substantial. It's one of the least efficient crops to grow, meaning it accelerates deforestation, etc., undermining biodiversity, causes soil erosion, water shortages, produces waste, etc. So that's his soy thing.
And Matt, why is that? Why is there a problem with that?
Because the soy is also used to feed the animals, and I think it mostly is used to feed the animals.
Yeah, it's like 98% or 90%.
Right. I mean, everyone knows that. That's the answer to that one, right? So we checked that off. I don't even know why people are still making that argument. I mean, this was like 12 years ago. People were saying this, and then people were responding to what I just responded. Right. So I don't know where this person's been. Okay, then I don't have much to say about this. He said, but what about milks? Because there's a lot of plant-based milks. Oat milk sometimes contains glyphosate, an herbicide that causes all manner of problems. Almond milk causes droughts. Coconut milk destroys soil fertility. And like cows, rice production emits methane. I don't know about those. I'm sure if we looked them up, we'd find mixed levels of how impactful those things actually are. Mm-hmm. And I think then my answer would be, but these are still tiny in their consumption compared to dairy and cow. But if they became everything, then yeah, I guess we might have a problem. But I don't know how to respond to that part. So that I'll give him an okay point there. What do you think, Doug, about those?
I mean, that is a certain problem. There are certain problems with different plant milks. Like almond milk is a big one. I don't buy almond milk anymore because most of the almonds here come from California, and the last several years, California's been in severe drought, and so it's just pulling a lot of excess water away from the Colorado. So, but I mean, so like he has some points, but again, like how much, and I don't even know this, like how does almond milk and the water consumption compare to the water consumption of the animals of cows, right?
Right.
Again, probably a moot point, like you said, probably not a very good argument.
Yeah, the other thing about that is like I think people don't. Well, I don't. Some people do, but I don't think a lot of people get big glasses of oat milk and almond milk and rice milk. I think they use them in coffees and they use them in drinks.
Right, exactly.
But I don't think people consume as much of those and won't ever, even if they became 100% of the milk consumption. I mean, if somehow that, a law happened that you just could not have, or all the cows just stopped being able to produce milk, I think people would start drinking a lot more water and they would use these things differently than they use milk. My guess, but I don't know. Anyway, so that's fine, whatever. That's an okay point, I guess. And we could do more research. The upshot is that young vegans who think they're doing their bit for the planet by chomping down on a tofu steak and washing it down with a glass of plant-based milk, which they don't really do, likely don't realize that the products they're eating have kicked Mother Nature in the teeth in many more ways than cow farming. So yes, more ways, but not nearly as substantially, in my opinion. All right, here's the good part. Here's where it gets good.
Yeah, this is my favorite part.
So here's why it's strange, and I give the guy credit. He shifts to saying, well, what's the solution there, right? Not just complaining about, because he admits that the animal agriculture itself is a problem. He says the lab grown, meat is where maybe the answer is. And I like that. I like that he's not just the total, complete on the side of we must consume lots of animals and no technology is going to fix that for us. He does mention, by the way, the technology to reduce cow flatulence, things like that, or inhibit the flatulence so they produce less methane. And that's a real thing. We talked about that earlier in the year. Mm-hmm. I don't know if that's a real, practical thing or if it's really happening or really going to have much an impact, but maybe, hopefully. But anyway, he likes the lab-grown chicken. He talks about how it's coming. But then he says producers of lab-grown beef, like Beyond Meat, are appearing more and more often on supermarket shelves and starting to become household names. So I guess he thinks that stuff is lab-grown.
And real meat.
and the real thing, and it's already on grocery store shelves. And
yeah, I mean, this guy clearly has no idea what he's talking about.
right, it almost seems
Right?
like AI thing. I don't know.
Oh, maybe it is an AI thing.
Right,
Oh,
but
AI is ruining
if it
everything.
is, you still got to read the article and make sure it's doing things right. So it's not a good excuse. Just well, it's AI, not my fault.
Mhm.
But then he actually goes and defends the plant-based meats. I mean, he's defending the plant-based meats, not the lab-grown meat. But I think he doesn't realize it. He says, "Don't let recent sales dips put you off. In an era of rampant food inflation, pioneering new right." So he's making an excuse here for the plant-based meat failure that appears to be happening, and I like that. I like that this person is not just like totally one-sided, just like picks the issue and says, "I'm just going with the far right side on this, and just all plant-based meat is bad." I like it. I like it. I mean, I think that's a good thinker, right? You're on different sides, but I think he just missed the mark here. He did not understand the topic
No,
that he's arguing about.
no, not at all. I mean, it's so all over the place, and he neglects to share any of the research about lab grown meat potentially being worse for the environment than than the real thing.
Yeah,
So
right. And there is a little bit, but it's not that easy to find. So anyway, yeah. Like I said, I like the openness to ideas and not just pick one side and go for it. But yeah, lab grown meat is not yet here. And even if it does represent the answer, we got several years till it's on supermarket shelves, and it is not beyond me.
yep, this dude needs to do a little more research, and whoever Yahoo's finances editor needs to do the same.
Yeah, there you go. All right. Yeah. Okay.
That's
I
it.
thought
That's the show.
that is it. It's done. Steven did not chime in on the France
No, we might have
legal
lost him.
system. Well, he was at a cafe. He can't be expected to tune in for too long.
Your mom says that research. She's read research that carbonated water raises your heart rate.
I've heard a few little bad things about the carbonated water stuff. I think it was mostly about the flavorings that are in them. So, and I think they always are flavored with natural flavors where you don't really know what they are. Some of them maybe are disclosing it, but that's one little issue. I don't think it's too big of a problem. I don't know about the heart rate thing, but my mom is ultra concerned about heart rate issues.
Mm-hmm. Leslie Knight says, electrician husband who lives with me and my lifestyle has never heard of ultra processed food. He says he may have heard of standard American diet, but has no idea what it is, what it means.
Yeah. So there you go. Even someone who lives with a everyday plant-based morning show listener could not be aware of those things. Just goes to show you, internet niches. It's not one big crowd anymore. It's all different people. We think everyone knows everything about this topic, but many haven't even heard of it.
That's right.
All right. Well, that's it. We will get out of here. We will return tomorrow for our Wednesday show, which means we're halfway done the week already tomorrow. That'll be
yeah.
That's it. I don't know if I'm gonna try to keep going with the put the show up the next day thing. I probably won't. I'll probably get back to putting it up today. I'll probably back on.
I think it's better. I think I'm gonna go ahead and say that it's better to go up the day
because it's sort of current events. We want to be
be
late breaking. Yeah. Okay. Oh, hey, we didn't say Jimmy Buffett and the Smash Mouth lead singer, whose name I don't have. I should have that if I'm going to talk about.
Smash Mouth lead singer.
Yeah, he died at age 86, undisclosed cause, but he had like hospice care, so it wasn't like a sudden thing. Too bad. And Jimmy Buffett's some kind of rare skin cancer, so I don't know too much Jimmy Buffett music, but I always appreciate hearing it. It's nice, puts you in a chill mood. So too bad. Along with Bob Barker, a lot of celebrity losses recently. All right. On that note, we're out of here. We'll be back tomorrow. Have a good Tuesday, everybody.
Sounds good. See you later.
Bye.
Bye.